I'm actually with Mr. Mike Figgis, a filmmaker of the Côtelette film. Can you explain me what is the concept behind this movie?
The film that I made is a film version of an existing choreography, but it is a pure film also. So the choreographer Anne van de Broek has made a piece with 3 dancers which deals with sexism, the male gaze, images of pornography, and abuse of women in many ways. This is turned into a kind of pure modern piece of choreography in Côtelette. So that's basically what the film is.
Using, I will say, sexual cliche to fight sexual cliche, isn't it? How does this project start, basically? You heard about this choreography?
Okay, I have made 2 or 3 dance films already.
Yeah.
One about flamenco, one about contemporary dance. And so a colleague of both of us who runs CinéDanse in Amsterdam, I met her and she suggested that I meet the choreographer and said, you should see this piece. She sent me some video. And it was very much her intuition that brought us together. So based on that, I met the choreographer, I saw the piece, and we very quickly made a decision that yes, we could film this in a certain way. So that's how it came. Very cool.
How the camera brings something different to a performance which is usually staged? How the camera changed this choreography?
Yeah.
What does it bring?
Well, one of the first things I discussed with Anne, the choreographer, I told her, look, I'll be honest with you that as soon as we start using camera and moving closer to the dancer, you will increase the potency of these images. And what was, let's say, sort of in a certain kind of like sexual image becomes incredibly more powerful when a camera is there and the camera is moving in a certain way. You're not sitting in a seat like an audience, you know. So we have to be very, very careful about the balance, because also it's the 3 performers are women, young women. Some of the time they're naked, you know. So you have to be very careful about how you use the camera. At the same time, you also have to film her intention, which was very bold. So finding, from a filmmaking point of view, finding the correct balance between exploitation and, let's say, creative cinema, that was a challenge. Yeah.
And what do you expect about the impact on the public, especially in here where we just got the Prime Minister as a woman elected?
I don't think it makes any difference whether the Prime Minister is, in terms of this piece, a woman or a man. I think 2 things happen when you screen this film, and also when they did it as a live performance. It deals with gender. So the women in the audience and the men in the audience have a very, very strong reaction. I think for a lot of men there's a little bit of sense of shame, because they're aware of the fact of what, from a male point of view, this is also something that affects them. And from a woman's point of view, there's a kind of sometimes almost a tragic realization of what women do to their bodies, for example. There are images of, like flesh, to do with, am I too fat, am I this, you know. Also these images of pornography that only now are people now talking about the effect of pornography on young sexual males and females. How this becomes, in a way, their first experience of sex is a porno. And young girls think that this is how they're supposed to behave. So the power of this piece of work, I think, is that it makes you very aware of how exploited you are in the first place. Therefore, there's kind of almost like sometimes a tragic response. I mean, women do cry, people get upset, and then there's always a really strong debate afterwards. Really strong, always. Yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Yeah.